lovelies. Well, I have all of my things here because we're going to make a homemade vegan pizza with the crust and all. Okay, so what you're going to need, let's just get right to it. You're going to need all-purpose flour. You can use whatever flour you want, but I have all-purpose flour. You're going to need your yeast. Here I have Fleshman's pizza crust yeast. Okay. You're going to need salt. You're going to need some kind of sugar. I'm not going to use a lot, but you do need some kind of sugar. I have brown sugar here. I'm going to use cinnamon also in mine. And now you need very hot water. And for my secret ingredient, usually it calls for oil, but I'm going to use applesauce. All right? So, you know, the instructions are right on the back, but we're going to walk through it. So here I went ahead already and put in my 1 cup of flour. I put a pack of the yeast. I put my salt, which calls for 3/4 of a teaspoon. I put my brown sugar, which calls for 1 teaspoon of brown sugar. And then you also need to have here 2/3 cup of very warm water. This is very warm water. And you need 3 tablespoons of oil, but we're going to use applesauce for that. So we already did that. So we already mixed the dry ingredients: salt, yeast, flour. I put the cinnamon in here, the sugar. Now what we're going to do is put the applesauce instead of the oil. That's 3 tablespoons. Set that to the side. And I have here unsweetened, since it called for that. And then we're going to do the oil. The water. Now, just making sure we put, okay, yeah. Doesn't hurt to read your instructions, you know. Like I said, when you buy certain things and see, we're just mixing it, and it's going to look gooey and sticky, but just keep mixing it for about a minute. Alright? Keep mixing it for about a minute, and make sure you do, this is about 1 cup here. So we're just using 2/3 cup of water. You don't want it too sticky. Right? And remember, we need 2 cups of flour. Okay? But we only put 1 cup in here. I know I'm speaking kind of backwards, but so in the beginning, you need 2 cups of flour, 3/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and we usually using applesauce, so you need 3 tablespoons of applesauce. Okay, for that. And I put a little cinnamon in mine, but you can put anything you want, like garlic. And you see how it is? Kind of runny. That's because we still have to put our 1 cup of flour. Now what you're going to do, you already mixed that together. Put the rest in here. Go ahead and dump that in. See, put the rest in there and you just mix. Mix. And it's going to start to dry out. You want to knead this. It's going to come a time when you're going to have to use your hands. So make sure they're nice and clean. But since we're vegans, we don't have to worry about contamination from chicken and all type of meats. Still. Alright. Now, this is actually looking quite good, right? But now you want to go ahead and get your hands sticky, and you want to knead it. Now, if it's too sticky, you can add more, you can go ahead and add more flour. Well, it doesn't hurt. Because with this dough, you can have, with the yeast, you can have up to 2 1/4 cups of flour. So I think I'm going to use a little bit more. I don't want it too dry, but I don't want it too sticky. It's okay for it to be a little moist. So just keep kneading it, and you just go ahead, and we're going to actually knead it here. let's go ahead. I'm no chef, but honey, I like to eat food that make me feel good on the inside. And see, this is a real pizza dough, and it's fat free. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with using a little olive oil in your pizza dough. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want fat free, instead of the oil, use applesauce. Now, of course, I'm not going to use all of this. Well, not of course. We're friends here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to save. This is like 4 pizzas. Because if you think of 2 cups of flour, think of 4 servings. Because 1 serving of flour is 1/4 of a cup here. So if you have 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, that's 1 cup. So this here, you would have to double your calories for the flour. So I'm just going to do 4. And what you can do, because the pizza crust is already done. We already have made it. It was that simple. Flour, yeast, applesauce, salt. And you're going to wrap this up in plastic. And what it's going to do while it's sitting, it's actually going to expand. So we're going to let this sit for about 5 minutes, just to let it expand. And even though this is fast yeast, quick yeast, usually with yeast you have to let it sit for a couple of hours while the pizza expands. But this one is quick activating yeast. So we have our 4 balls of dough already done, and I'm going to repeat it. Make sure you have your 2 cups of flour, maybe 2 1/4. Make sure you have your salt. Make sure you have your sugar. Make sure you have, and I'm going to put in the description box everything, and I just went ahead and put some cinnamon and our secret ingredient, applesauce instead of the oil. Okay, so that's our crust. And now we're going to talk about while we let this sit. Oh, and don't forget your very hot water. When you mix that in with the yeast, it activates. The hot water and the yeast activates. So make sure your water is very warm. Okay, so now we're going to let this sit for about, and see, it's already expanding. We're going to let this sit, then we're going to press it out. But let's talk about the toppings. To the side. Let's talk about the toppings. This is a vegan pizza. So first of all, this is tomato paste. I went in and cracked open a 100% pure tomato paste. It only had 20 milligrams of sodium in it, and I just put a little bit of vinegar. I put some garlic, some oregano, some thyme, and made it my own pizza crust. Pizza sauce. But you're welcome to use the canned pizza sauce and everything. I just wanted to cut down on the sodium. That's fine. And then we're also going to use, of course, some goodies. We have garlic, we have red onion, and we have mushrooms. We're going to go ahead and cook those up for our cheese. And we're also going to put on there some pineapples and some black olives. I have my vegan cheese here, and I have my vegan pepperoni. We're cutting our onions. And I cannot stress enough, if I can do it, you can do it. I'm no chef. But I do like to eat. I like to eat good. And you can be very generous with your vegetables. Just a regular woman that's trying to be happy while I'm alive. Show other people what I do to be happy. Learn from other people. Myself. Maybe I can help some people and they can help me and make life as enjoyable as possible, because we all go through things, but when you can have moments that you you can, you know, enjoy and get away from whatever you're going through. It helps. It helps to live. It helps to get a reason to wake up in the morning when you can think about things the next day that you can do. So I love to cook, even though I'm no chef and I may be a little sloppy, but it gives me joy. So you went ahead and pressed down on that garlic, and we're going to slice it on up. And you know, to cut down on oil when you're like stir frying or when you're sauteing, just boil your vegetables, and then if you want to add a little oil, do that. So my water is boiling. I'm going to go ahead and put my vegetables in, let those get nice and soft, and then we're going to press out our vegetables in that boiling hot water. Now at this time, you can go ahead and preheat your oven to 450 degrees. And the pizza crust did kind of rise. Now if you want to make a big pizza, you're welcome to use all of our, you know, all of the 4 little balls we cut into them too. You can just make one pizza. Now just put a little flour there because it's still a little sticky. Dough can be sticky. So we want to flatten this out, right? So what you're going to do, you choose your border, right? Choose your border. It's almost like you're making that crust. Like if you go to a pizza place and you see the little crust around, and don't spread it so far out that it starts making like tears or holes. Okay? Some people, you know, I'm not too good at that, but I do like home cooking, and it's gonna taste good. Okay, so we're gonna spread this out as much as possible, and this is just a little personal pizza, pan pizza. You're gonna put this in the oven with your toppings on it. Once we get this all set, and when we put it in the oven, if you start to see the edges of your crust burning, see, this is how it's looking. Blooper. This is how it's looking. See how that is? We're not professionals here, but we like to do our thing. All right. You don't want to tear it. And the more you practice at things, the better they get. The better they look, the better they taste. So don't feel bad if your stuff don't look like Pizza Hut. As long as you can feel proud of your work and you know that you're doing something that's fun, you can even get your kids involved and help them make some pizza. You know, put whatever toppings you want on there. I don't want it too thin out. All right, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and get that pizza sauce on there. Make sure my oven is preheated. My oven is nice and ready, nice and hot. And I got my pizza sauce. Now, a lot of times what people like to do is they like to stone because it gets, you know, the pizza nice and crispy. But what I'm going to do, I'm using my little toaster oven also. But a regular oven is even better. I just have my little toaster oven. It's a little bit easier for me when I'm not cooking a large meal. So I got my butter spray, and I'm spraying. You're gonna place your, if you don't have one of those stones that they just slide it in. Get a rack, a pizza rack, and instead of having it right side up, you would flip it this way. Okay, and I've cooked a lot on this stuff. Flip it upside down where it's facing downward. Put your foil here. And we're just going to put our homemade pizza crust on top, right? And what we're going to do is put our sauce on. We're going to let all this stuff cook together. This is a good time because you know the sauce is everything, baby. Let me just tell you. You can have all the good old cheese on there if you want, but if that sauce ain't right, So I'm going to put a little bit more sea salt on now. Yeah. Okay. Need some oregano. Some garlic. Oh yeah, honey. I love sage. Now, when people they think of sage, it's savory. Most of the time, people use sage if they're doing stuffing for Thanksgiving. But I love sage. You can just smell it. Okay. And the vegetables are done. They're nice and hot. And I like to put my vegetables on before my cheese. Because sometimes, to me, if you're making a homemade pizza, this is how it's looking so far. Ooh. You're making a homemade pizza, it can kind of overwhelm the vegetables can kind of overpower the cheese. Look at that. This is vegan cheese by Daiya. I have to get used to the taste when you're coming from regular cheese, but it's still really good. You can see this pizza is cooking. It's not done because we still have our, it's only been in for about 5 minutes, but just wanted to show you how gorgeous it's actually looking. And just to think we made that ourselves from the crust. A little sloppy, a little unprofessional in our preparation, but it's all going to taste good. And look at it. This is our crust. And what you want to do, use your pizza cutter. You got 2 nice slices. Ooh. No lie. This is the bizarre, baby. This is completely vegan. Vegan pepperoni. Vegan cheese, low sodium pizza sauce we made, our own pizza crust, fat free because we use applesauce. So we made our great invention. Enjoy it and have fun with it.